About 6 months ago I built these hat racks, which I really like, except when I designed it I didn't account for the fact that the bill of the hat sort of almost hits here, and it blocks every time I want to put a new hat on here. I have to lift this hat up and put it. So I'm going to redesign this. I'm not going to use SketchUp or anything. I'm just going to do it right here in the shop. And I'm going to actually make this. See, this hangs on the wall. I put these slots here so I can hang it on the wall. I'm going to make one of these that holds 3 hats, and so it'll be a bit longer, but I'll use the same hole pattern on the back, and extend the distance between these so that I can get the hats on and off a little bit more easily. So let's get started. For this project I'm going to be using some scrap oak, maple, and some walnut, and here I'm just laying it out on top of my phenolic bench top, and I can draw right on that with pencil, and then later I can wipe that off, and that makes it pretty easy to do a quick layout since I'm not using SketchUp. And I'm going to mill everything to the correct size, so cut it on the table saw, and then I'll take it over to the jointer and the thickness planer to get it all sized correctly. I'm going to be using my table sled to do some cross-cutting and get everything to the right length, and I'll also be using this to put the angles onto the pieces. To get the right angle, I've put a block down and secured that to the sled, and that'll allow me to get the angle correct on every single piece. I noticed a little bit of tear out on that first cut, so I'm going to back it up with another piece of scrap, and that'll help reduce that tear out. And now I'm just going to cut the smaller pieces, which will hold the hats. That first block that I put down was a little bit too far away from the blade, and it would be unsafe to cut these smaller pieces, so I'm repositioning a longer block across the blade, and that will also help with that tear out. And I'm going to save all of these little tiny angled cutoffs, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. I need to put a taper on each of these pieces, and to do that I'm going to first sketch it out on the piece, and I'm just going to use some blue tape on the table sled with a little bit of CA glue and some activator on the other side to position that block, and that will allow me to cut these pieces safely. Each of those blocks I'll be clamping down, and that'll make it extra safe. So here's this little bit that I was talking about. It's a, I don't know what this is called, a key bit maybe, something like that. You guys maybe tell me in the comments if you know the name of this bit. But basically what it does is you plunge it in and then you route this way, and it creates sort of a lip underneath there, and then you can mount things on the wall, picture frames, etc. I'm assuming that's what it's for, is for picture frames, but it works really good for this kind of thing too, so that's what I'm going to be using. And I put 2 dominoes on each of the joints, even though I don't need it for strength, but it does help with alignment. And a quick test fit. I need to round over the ends of each of the hat holders and to make them smooth, and I need to do that now before I start to put everything together. And here I'm just doing a little bit of sanding ahead of the glue up. This will save me a lot of trouble later. And you'll remember that I saved all those little angled cutoffs from before. The reason is that I need them to do the glue up, because everything's at an angle. If I just put the glue on and put it in the clamps, it wouldn't really clamp correctly. So I need these little angled cutoffs. What I'll do here is I'll just put some CA glue and some activator on that to glue it. And then later, after I'm done with the glue up, I can take them apart quite easily. So I just put them on the edge of something and I smack it with a hammer and it just pops off because it has no shear strength. And now you can see how handy it is to have those little cutoffs to put the clamps on. I really don't enjoy glue ups. Now that the glue's dried for a few hours, I can start popping off the little cutoffs before I move on to the next step. And now I do a little bit of sanding on the outside, which I didn't sand before I move on to the router table and put a round over on the whole assembly. My router bit can't get in some of the corners, so I'll just finish that off with a chisel and a little bit of sandpaper to clean it up. And now I'm just applying some super blonde dewaxed shellac. I'll put 2 coats of that on each of the pieces, let them sit for a few minutes until the alcohol has gone away and left the shellac behind, and then I'll come back in with some wax and some steel wool, put that on, and then buff it out with a clean cloth, and this project is almost done.